battles to be had with a slippery Silverstone set up a significant title decider. This is the Silverstone preview.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the British Touring Car Podcast. Again, me, Russell, and the round-headed buffoon next to me.
That's a bit rude, but sure, let's go with
Sam, who, may I just say, I normally do the intros, but that was fantastic. How did you come up with that so quickly on the spot?
Yeah, it's just off the top of the cranium and right in there.
Smashing stuff. It is Silverstone weekend. It's the penultimate round of the season.
It's crunch time.
It is crunch time. Titles can be won this weekend.
Yes.
Not the main one. Well, no.
A lot would have to happen.
Yeah, a lot would have to happen. It's unlikely the main one will be won this weekend. But the Btcc could be won this weekend, and we also believe that the Independents could be won this weekend as well. Silverstone, famously my least favourite track. Thruxton has moved up in the world. The people of Andover will be very happy to hear that Thruxton no longer sits bottom. That's the wrongs of Silverstone.
It is a bit of a speedway circuit, isn't it? Not many corners, but some action.
6 corners, so effectively a NASCAR circuit. 1.85 miles, so effectively a NASCAR circuit. Qualifying lap record set in 2020, a 57.3. There's a reason I'm going to give you this already because there's stuff later on. But would you like to guess who set it?
7.3. Turkington?
No.
Ingram?
No.
Go on then.
Camish. You would never have got that, would you?
No, I wouldn't.
No, and the race lap record was set in 2022 and was a 57.6. But by whom?
Was it another Ford? Was it Sutton?
No.
Okay.
I love this game.
Was it Ingram?
No.
Go on then.
Hill. I love it. I think next season you should start losing points with your predictions if you get these really badly wrong. But anyway, what are your initial thoughts and feelings before we go into it?
Having looked at what the weather's going to be doing this weekend, I think it could have a significant impact on how performances are going to work their way out throughout the weekend, because it does look like we've got rain and possibly even thunderstorms on the horizon. Now, if we take a little look back, we obviously had Goff in that amazing race in the rain at Silverstone, so we could see some surprise results.
Assuming we're allowed to race, of course.
Assuming we are allowed to race. It's better drainage than Donington, though, I've heard. There could be some surprises on the cards. Obviously, we're looking towards the top of the championship, looking towards Hill, Ingram, and possibly even Sutton, although some people might think he might be out of it by now.
Well, you've mentioned the classification there, so just to remind people, Hill sits atop the championship standings on 316 points. Tom Ingram back on 307, which is a gap of 9 points.
Well done.
I'm not doing any more because I can't do any more maths on that. Sutton is third on 296, and I think he is just about hanging on. I think then after that, Turkington on 273, Camish on 270, and Cook on 262. I think they're all out of it at this stage. And then rounding out the top 10, we've got Aaron Taylor-Smith on 182, which I'll come back to a bit later on in the pod. Huff on 181 in 8th, Robot on 173, and Morgan rounding out the top 10 on 171.
If anything, that battle for 7th might be a little more interesting going into these final 2 rounds of the season.
You can tell you're an Everton supporter, can't you? The Everton Cup places are the ones to look to. Absolutely.
Not anytime soon, mate. But yeah, there are going to be a couple of battles throughout the grid. It looks like Dobble may well wrap up the Jack Sears this weekend as long as he has a strong one. And the Independence Trophy is up for grabs as well.
Well, you mentioned the Jack Sears. I'll quickly run through the standings for that as well. Dobble does lead the way on 4.23. Quite a commanding lead over Osborne, who's on 3.30. That's 3.30 to 4.23. Pearson on 2.99. Obviously not in the championship for the rest of the season, so he won't be scoring any more points. DeLyon on 2.79. Sumpton on 2.70. Housen on 2.33. And Xenos, who I think we can rule out of the championship, on 45.
We can rule him out of the championship, but he is back for this weekend. He's managed to get the sponsorship together, and so we will see him again running in the Accelerate Hyundai. He had a really nice showing last time out at Donington, didn't he?
Yeah, he, for the most part, kept his nose clean. 3 finishes, points scored. He's not bottom of the championship. Or is he bottom of the championship?
No, he's not. He's ahead of Housestead.
There you go. I'm glad to see Xenos back.
So am I.
I know it's cliche. You all laugh at me for how I like Xenos, but I want to see him given a shot. And
there's a racer in there, mate.
There is indeed. I want to see him given a shot, and it's good to see him coming back to somewhere that he would have raced plenty of times before as well
Yeah.
at Silverstone, so it should be a track where he could do quite well at, I think.
I'm hoping that extra weekend being in the car will make him feel more at home. However, I think he's going to have the challenges of the weather this weekend that is going to be probably a little bit more eye-opening for him.
Absolutely. It is also sustainability weekend at Silverstone this
Is it?
weekend, so there's going to be plenty of articles, videos and other bits and pieces talking about sustainability in motorsport, presumably about any hint of irony given how much money it costs to get there in the first place. But there we go. Never mind. A reminder of how things went out last year. It was a really weird one last year. It was a bit random. So race 1 was Hill from Rowbottom from Watson.
Yep.
Race 2 was Sutton from Aaron Taylor-Smith from Ingram. And race 3 was Turkington, Ingram, Sutton. So it was a strange start to the day.
It was.
Last year. And Silverstone, to be fair, whilst I don't think it's the most exciting circuit we race at, it does throw up these results from time to time. We've seen Turkington get spun around in the pack here on a couple of occasions. We've seen Ingram get spun around in the pack here.
Hill had an incident last season with Morgan.
Yeah.
And obviously last season was the only time that Napa didn't take pole position and Dobble took that pole.
Exactly. So it is a track that throws up a few... Well, the racing on the day might not be as exciting. It does potentially level the field a little bit more, and we might see, particularly if it rains, some interesting qualification times. In terms of the championship contenders, and I'm going to only focus on 3 because I am going to do what Tim Hyman says never to do, which is to write Turkington off. If he wins it from here, then I will...
What are you eating?
You can make me a massive pie with Colin Turkington's initials on it or something, and I will eat every morsel like that kid from Bruce.
I've had a better idea.
Okay.
If he wins the championship from here, I get to cream pie you in the face.
Whoa, whoa. Okay.
And the squirty cream pie. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Family friendly show. Okay. In the last 3 years, Hill has had a fairly decent time here. So he had a first, a 20th, he had an engine problem from memory, and an 8th last year, a second, a first and a 4th the year before that, and a 21st, a 9th and a 1st the year before that. So still saying it's a track where if you do have some adversity, you can at least come back through the field. Ingram proves this last year, had a 22nd in race 1, a 3rd in race 2, and a 2nd in race 3. Year before that, 5.51. And the year before that, 2.2.12. So fairly consistent, and you'd expect him to be near the front this weekend as well. Yep. And Sutton, he produced one of the all-time great drives last season, if you remember. He started he finished race 1, 23rd, won race 2 from 23rd on the grid, and finished race 3, 3rd. So not bad for him. The year before that, a 6.42, and the year before that, a 7.43. So a track where all of the championship contenders tend to go okay.
It's unusual, really, because a lot of people say that Ingram and Hill go really well here, but looking at Sutton's results, he's still going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and I remember in the Infinity, he was very good round here as well.
And I think we're going to see more of the old Ash Sutton come out. Now we've got to. Not much to lose, really, in the championship. He can only really go forward. If he doesn't, then he's not going to win it anyway, is he?
Yeah, his spreadsheet might need a little bit of tinkering coming into this weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. He needs to get those points. How do you see, I mean, the way I see it is I think we won't actually get much change at the top this weekend. I think there'll be much of a muchness and it will go into Brands Hatch very, very tight. I don't see one of those 3 having such a good weekend that they go into Brands Hatch with such momentum or such a good chance of winning it. Because at the minute, yes, Hill is ahead, but he's not so far ahead of Ingram, you make him the outright favourite.
I really hope that we don't see reliability come into it or other drivers getting involved to then make a big gap going into Brands Hatch. So I hope it's a fair fight between all 3 of them, and it would be really nice if it is those 3 fighting at the front going at it hammer and tong. That's kind of what I want to see this weekend.
Me too. And I think I don't think we'll see that because I think we'll see drivers settling a little bit this weekend.
You reckon?
I think particularly if it's
wet. You don't think it's moving day?
I think for Ingram and Hill, no. I think they'll be quite happy to, unless they're really far apart. But if it's raining as well, I think that if Ingram's only a couple of places back from Hill, I can't see him doing anything stupid.
Keeping an eye on each one.
Yeah, Hill is I don't necessarily trust him as much to sit quietly, and
he's more of a loose cannon, isn't he?
He's more likely to make a move, I think, than Ingram. Ingram's a little bit more Turkington-esque in the banking the points route, whereas Hill is a little bit more Sutton-esque of win and win
at all cost.
Well, that's a slightly unfair answer because he has adopted his style of driving a little bit. I'm still not convinced on a Napa Ford, although if it rains, that is always the great leveller. We might see him a bit closer, but this year that Ford hasn't been anywhere near as competitive as it has been in previous seasons. So we'll have to see whether that, whether they can be competitive this weekend or not. It's a track where they struggled last season. Sutton only just got into qualify because it was the sprint format qualifying last year for this track. He only just got through. I think Robot had to sacrifice himself from memory, didn't he, to allow Sutton into the top 10.
Yeah.
As you say, double broke the Napa dominance of qualifying last year with that lap. So I think we might see a little bit of moving and shaking from Sutton. I think from Ingram and Hill, they might be a little bit more consistently banking the points and thinking about getting to Brands with the best possible chance.
We know that PMR normally go quite well here. Obviously, as we've mentioned already, Double took pole position. Didn't make the most of it, unfortunately, but I'm sure he's learnt from that. And I'm kind of expecting PMR to have a really strong weekend. Both Aaron Taylor-Smith and Dobble have shown throughout the season that they've got the car under them. They keep surprising you.
As if you're not surprised.
I'm less surprised because I kind of see it coming a little bit more now. You're less trusting in the age of the Astra, aren't you?
I am, although I think it's unfair to paint me out as the only person that's surprised. I think everyone on the grid, other than Adam Weaver, who's probably very smug, is surprised that he's doing so well. And a word on Aaron Taylor-Smith, I think that it is remarkable that he's 7th in this championship. He's a point ahead of, lest we forget, world champion Rob Huff.
Touring car champion.
World touring car champion, not heavyweight of the world. World touring car champion Rob Huff.
Yep.
He's ahead of Morgan, who's a veteran in this sport. Other names on there include Moffat, Rowbottom, Chilton. These are all big names that he's ahead of in a car that
drivers that have won races this season as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
That he's still ahead of.
And he's ahead of these drivers in a car that isn't fancied as much.
No. It's the oldest on the grid.
It is. If you look at the drivers he's behind, we'd expect him to be behind those two. You've got Ingram, Sutton, and Hills knocking on the door of 3 of the best drivers I've ever seen. Turpin's in that club as well.
Yep.
Absolutely. And you then got Carriage and Cook, who are top level drivers. You would necessarily expect him to be ahead of those, but to be the best of the rest, the Everton Cup winner.
At the moment,
I think it's amazing. I think he's proven a lot of people wrong. I think a lot of people have not only written off the PMR Astra, but written off Taylor Smith. He's not young in his touring car career. He's been around a few times. And I have to say, I know he's taken some race wins in the past, but I think this is the best he's ever driven. I think he really, really looks at home in that car.
He looks comfortable with the team. He looks comfortable with the car. And I think he's in a really nice place in his own life, in the fact that, travels over from Ireland for every touring car weekend, but then has the pleasure of going back to his young kid who he's got. And he's just in that nice headspace, isn't he? Yeah,
and it comes across in his driving, his interviews. He just seems to be a really happy guy, and you transpose that against when it particularly was at Hard, where for the most part he was trundling around the back in a car that wasn't particularly competitive.
Yep.
I was surprised when he made the move to PMR because I was personally surprised PMR gave him time of day, given that I thought, and I think a lot of other people did as well, that perhaps his best days were behind him. But he's really impressed this season, and he could win the Independence this weekend.
Yep.
Potentially. It's going to take a little bit to go his way, but it could still be done. And if you said to him at the start of the season you'd get top 10 in the championship, he'd take that. But
he would have taken that.
But if he can find a way to solidify being 7th, best of the rest, that's over.
It's going to be a nice battle over these last 2 rounds as well between him, Huff, Rowbottom and Morgan. There's only about 13 points separating them, and there is a lot to play for in that, because having that title is kind of best of the rest behind those top 6 drivers, who are the top 6 you probably choose at the start of the season.
You would.
Is a real accolade.
Absolutely. We've also, of course, got Toyota on the grid, who've had a bit of a odd season. At times they've looked really strong, and other times they look really poor. I think that it's a tale of 2 halves in both garages. I think Cook and Huff have had relatively good seasons.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Watson and Moffat have had relatively poor seasons, albeit Moffat has had a race win under his belt as well.
Yeah, but he doesn't like Saturdays, does he?
No, he doesn't. Although equally, he has had some really bad luck in races with reliability issues or other driver issues. Whereas Watson, on the other hand, I don't think you can necessarily say he's had the bad luck from other drivers and reliability.
No, I really think he's lacked pace of those 4 this season, and I think that's something that he'll want to improve on himself. And he knows that he's not been up to the standard that he was last season. Some people, in hindsight, might say the grass isn't always greener on the other side, but as we've already mentioned and discussed before, you can't really turn down an opportunity to go to a manufacturer team like Toyota. I kind of hope that he'll get another chance and he'll develop over the off-season and then go again next year, but we'll see how everything plays out.
But also, we're coming to tracks that he'll know from his other racing discipline, Silverstone, and the longer version of Brands. Yep. Obviously took a podium here last year at Silverstone, so I think he's got a good couple of races to not necessarily turn things around, but we've seen with other drivers like Pearson, etc., when results aren't going your way and you're not where you want to be,
things get tough.
And sometimes the relationships are broken.
Yep.
I hope to see Watson on the grid next year, and I hope you can turn it around in these last couple of events. I think Toyota will go well here for the record. They generally have done in the past under both Ingram's stewardship and actually Roy Butcher. It's gone well here in the past.
You always like to sneak a win at the end of the season at Silverstone.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it's a track where you'd think the Toyotas would go pretty well. However, this season they've gone well at tracks you wouldn't necessarily think they would do, and not so well at other tracks you would have thought they would do well at. So it's a bit of a strange one. Cook and Huff, I think, will be the top performing Toyotas this weekend, as has been the case for the season. And Moffat in sustainability weekend, not getting out of Q1 to save tyres.
Saving the tyres,
engine and all that kind of stuff. It might have to be done.
Shall we get into some predictions?
Yeah, go on then. So, obviously, you're quite a far way ahead in the
I made up a few points last time out, didn't I? And there is a fairly significant lead. It's probably the biggest lead that we've had going into the final 2 rounds that we've seen in the time we've been doing our predictions. So you've got some making up to do.
Yeah, and I'm really nervous about the blind predictions we did at the start of the season as well, because I don't think they're going to come to much for me either.
Yeah.
So.
I can't remember what mine are, so I'm not living with that anxiety.
I know at the moment that who I went for to win the championship isn't winning the championship, so
fair enough.
That tells you it's not a hill. So we'll have to see.
Who is going to be your pole position?
It's going to be
this weekend?
Jake Hill. I think if it rains as well, he seems to be able to get the BMW really firing in the wet conditions. I think I will just say for the record that if it is rain for qualifying, all bets are off to a degree.
Yes, they are.
Because you just don't know what's going to happen. No. So it makes it harder to pick if there is going to be rain. But I'm going to go for Hill, as I think he's pretty good around here. The car, he's in such a good patch with the car at the moment.
Yeah.
And if it rains, the hybrid loss is negated somewhat.
It is, yeah. I think if it doesn't rain, there could be quite a significance to having more hybrid this weekend.
I'm not sure.
Because of the straights and acceleration zones that you get at Silverstone. So I'm pinning my hopes on Turkington this time out.
I get it.
But as you say, if the rain comes, we know that Turkington doesn't go as well in the rain. That BMW in his hands never seems to go as well. So as you say, it could be a free-for-all.
If it rains, then don't be surprised to see a complete wild card like a Chilton or a Moffat on pole. I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah, and we could have the top 3 title contenders not even make the Super 6 shootout.
Yeah, quite possibly. For race winners, I've gone for Hill, Ingram and Aaron Taylor-Smith. So I think Hill and Ingram will basically be first and second in the first 2 races, and reverse grid will come to Aaron Taylor-Smith. The Astra goes really well here. I think he deserves a win this season. I really do. And I think if the racing gods are smiling upon him, then that could well come this weekend at Silverstone. The Astra goes so well here, and he's in really good form at the minute.
Yeah, I haven't done this on purpose, but I've matched you with Hill and Ingram. They're kind of the safe bets.
Yeah.
And I've also gone for Turkington, whether it's a reverse grid in a race 3 or whether he does go on to get pole. And I think if he does, he might take out the win.
I think I deserve 2 points of our tennis, but I'm going to be pulling out all the stops now to try and get level with you. We've both gone for Dobble in the Jack Sears. Look, that's going to be the answer for the rest of the season, I think, isn't it?
Yes.
He's been phenomenal this year, and we'll cover that more at the end of the season review. For the general predictions, then, I've gone for a PMR car to qualify 5th or higher. I've gone for Zeos to outscore Househead and Sumpton combined, and I've gone for Chilton to score 3 top 10s. Now, we have checked the predictions with each other to make sure they're still within the parameters of fairness, so I don't turn up and go, Osborne won't win a race, or or Housewood will get fastest lap, or something like that, which is almost guaranteed.
Yeah, we've kept them within the spirit of the game
Absolutely.
throughout the whole season. Therefore, I checked one of mine as well, which was originally going to be double to take home the Jack Sears Trophy this weekend, but the lead that he's got, we decided that was a bit too far gone anyway. So instead, I've gone for Aaron Taylor-Smith to take home the Independent Trophy this weekend. Aaron Taylor-Smith to also get a podium. So not quite that race win, but I think...
He's not paying us per mention, I should point that out, but yeah.
And then my final one is Ingram to score 3 top 6 finishes, which, having now looked at the weather report, I'm...
Well, having looked at his last 3 years, he's only done that once out of 3 attempts.
True.
I think the problem with that, and it is a bold prediction, and I appreciate you going for it, is that the reverse grid really does play. Because if he's finishing...
It is a lottery.
Yeah, it is, quite literally.
Yeah. But I'm thinking, if he finishes 4th or 5th, then he won't go too far back anyway.
No,
so
that's true.
We'll see.
No, absolutely. We've also, for our special one this weekend, we're doing something new. We always try and keep it fresh. We're going to go for the pole lap time. Now, we've got two times here, because at the minute, according to the good old British Broadcasting Corporation, that is a 50%
good. Not at the moment, I'd say, but carry on. That's another subject.
There is a high chance of rain, shall we say. We're looking at over 50% for qualifying.
But being the British weather, we could have this at 1 hour dry spell for qualifying. So we've gone for a dry time and we've gone for a wet time.
A little bit of housekeeping on that. The wet time has to be set on wet tyres. So if it's a damp session, then we've basically null and voided this, because neither of us will be the closest one who gets it, which would be you, I should imagine, because you're slightly slower than me.
Probably.
But we'll discuss those parameters nearer the time, so how wet it actually turns out to be. But but for a wet time, it has to be a wet quali, i.e. set on wet tyres. And this is the overall pole time, not the quickest in a particular session. This is the final person in the top 6 who sets that pole time. So for dry, I've gone for 56.9, which would be a lap record. But I'm thinking with the hybrid, and which has worked a bit more this season, that might just elevate us into
mine is still a lap record, but I don't think they're going to break that 56-second barrier or 57-second barrier. So I'm going for a 57 flat. Mm-hmm.
That's fair enough. So we literally point one out.
Yep.
So that'll be good. When it's 59.95.
That'll
be good. And then for the wet time, I've gone for 1 minute 9 seconds. So a fair big drop off. I think it's going to rain quite hard, and if we get that level, it'll be on the wet tyre. So I'm going for 1 minute 9.
I've gone for an even bigger drop off of a 1 minute 11. I really don't know. Neither of us have looked at previous wet times around the circuit, so it is a bit of a pie in the sky kind of figure.
Like the weather this weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are going this weekend, though?
I am going. I'm going with my papa, which would be nice.
So, any hospitality or just in the stands?
Just in the stands this time.
You might get a bit damp.
Well, the stands should keep us dry. Hopefully. But you're absolutely right. We might get a little bit wet as well, but that's all part of the fun. And I will take a little bit of rain if it means that we get some really good, exciting racing.
Yes. Yep.
You're not going. You're watching from the television.
I am. I'm safe and sound on the sofa this weekend once again. So I'll try and keep you up to date on TikTok as well with any little race updates or race results. Of course, you can watch all the races live on TikTok this year, and qualifying is on YouTube, and that is at.
That is at 15. Sorry, 15:35, which is just gone 3:30.
Yep.
Presumably you'll also be able to keep me up to date with the F1.
Yes,
nice for you. Yep. On that, we believe that Osborne is running a special Valvoline livery this weekend.
There have been teasers, but we haven't seen anything as of yet.
No, so if he is slower than usual, it'll be the paint, as per the Red Bull excuse for not running a special livery at Singapore this weekend. Blimey, that team has fallen off of a cliff, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
That's for a different podcast. We'll leave that to 5 Live or P1, but if Osborne is slow this weekend, we can blame that extra Valvoline paint. The dates for your diary for Sunday is that the first race is at 11:30 on the Sunday. The second race is at 2:20, and the final race is at 5:10. All, of course, subject to change depending on how silly the support race is going to be.
What series have we got this weekend?
I'm glad
we've got minis.
I'm glad you asked the moment I put my phone away.
That's right. We've got minis. We've got F4s as per normal.
Well, we've got F4s, as you say. We've got Porsche Carrera Cup Great Britain. We've got the minis, and we've got the Porsche Sprints. That's it. There's no specialists this weekend. So no Caterhams, no legends, and no radicals. Which I'm slightly surprised we didn't get the Caterhams back this weekend. But There we go.
Just as well, because the Legends had quite a big accident at Snetterton last time out. But
They did.
Go and find the pictures for that if you can.
It's not the greatest support package in my view, but
it's all right. We've got juniors coming back next year.
we do.
So
We've got a few teams that already announced their interest.
Yeah, a couple of 4-car outfits that could be possibly on the horizon, but we'll do an end of season look towards that.
A season preview almost.
Well, we'll do a young driver special, shall we?
Okay. I like making promises we may not keep, which is fine. But yeah, enjoy the action for the sofa on Sunday, friend. We will be back for a review, obviously, early next week. If you are going, safe trip, pack a brolly. And I will have stickers with me, however...
They may be a bit damp.
Well, I'll keep them in an inside pocket, yeah. Keep them as dry as possible. Is it an otter's pocket? No, that's wet, isn't it?
I'd stay away from otter's pocket, mate. That's total other meaning.
Kangaroo pouch. They'll be dry. If you want a sticker, come up and say hi and ask one. There is no charge. A smile. Yeah, enjoy the weekend's racing. Enjoy the weekend for yourself, and we'll see you very soon.